This presentation gives an analysis of Flannery O'Connor's short story, Good Country People. This story is set on a tenant farm in rural Georgia in the 1950s. The story uses Southern Gothicism, or a genre of fiction in which the author uses damaged or even delusional characters, grotesque events, and dark humor to reveal the moral shortcomings and problems with society. The story is also typical of Flannery O'Connor's stories in that it uses antithesis and irony to point out the importance of Christ's grace in a sinful and flawed world. Also typical of O'Connor's work, the story shows a sacramental view of life, when the main character has an epiphany in which she realizes the need for Christ's redemption in her life through a redemptive act, when she is taught a lesson by the fake Bible salesman who shows her how horrible life can actually be without God. As in most of Flannery O'Connor's works, as in most Southern Gothic tales, the characters are flawed and grotesque. Their flaws help the reader see common shortcomings and changes needed in society. By showing how people should not act, the author shows what people should do. The protagonist is a 33-year-old woman named Joy, who changed her name to the ugliest name she could find in any language, Hulga, to immaturely offend her mother. Although intelligent, the PhD in philosophy is actually still very childlike. Angry with her empty life on her mother's farm and bitter over losing her leg in a violent childhood gun accident, she purposely makes herself ugly inside and out to show her resentment. She wears a grungy 6-year-old skirt and a yellow t-shirt with a horse and cowboy embossed on it just to irritate her mother, and thumps her wooden artificial leg around loudly just to annoy everyone. Joy Hulga is crippled physically, since she is missing part of her leg, but also spiritually. She further alienates herself from her mother by believing in the existential philosophy of nihilism, or the belief in nothing, in which life and death have no meaning. She embarrasses her mother with her childish, rude behavior and does not use her education in any constructive way. Instead, she lives her adult life dependent upon her mother and childishly rebels in any way she can think of that would annoy her mother. Despite her immaturity, she feels she is intellectually superior to all of what she thinks are ignorant country people living in her hometown, and she naively thinks she will destroy the innocence of the Christian Bible salesman by seducing him, and thus makes him compromise his simple Christian values. However, her cruel plan backfires when she ends up being the one who is duped by the truly nihilistic con artist. Although probably the most redeemable of the morally flawed characters of Good Country People, Joy Hulga's mother, Mrs. Hopewell, is a self-righteous hypocrite who pretends to be a good Christian woman. She thinks she is a good judge of character, but she is not. She also cannot understand her daughter and mindlessly oversimplifies life by spouting off the same cliches like "that's life," "it takes all kinds to make the world," "everybody's different," etc. Her name is significant because she hopes for the best without truly understanding the complexities of life. Although Mrs. Hopewell thinks Mrs. Freeman is what she calls good country people, Mrs. Freeman is not really a good person. She is perversely obsessed with gruesome accidents and deformities, such as the details of how Joy Hulga's leg was blown off, and she will never admit she is wrong about anything. She gossips, is rude, and pretends everything is her idea. She came to work with very poor references. Her daughters, Glynis and Caramay, act as foils to Joy Hulga because they have no illusions of grandeur about their lives. They are down to earth, unlike Joy Hulga, who thinks she is intellectually superior to everyone and finds no satisfaction with her life. Manly Pointer is the antagonist who pretends to be a simple, honest Christian Bible salesman, but he is actually a nihilistic con artist who gets pleasure out of duping simple country people and perversely finding out what makes them vulnerable, and then taking people's dignity by doing such cruel acts as stealing a glass eye, or in Hulga's case, stealing her artificial leg. He acts like a villain in the story by fooling everyone into thinking they can trust him and then taking advantage of their trust. He helps Joy Hulga realize that her childish belief in nihilism is misguided by showing her what true nihilism is when he pulls out his hollow Bible filled with nude pictures, whiskey, and condoms, shocking Hulga as she realizes she has been fooled by his act, and then stealing her artificial leg and telling her that he has been believing in nothing his whole life. Through the use of antithesis, O'Connor shows the audience what people should not be like. Manly Pointer's name is also significant because it is a phallic reference to the male anatomy, and when he takes Joy Hulga's leg, although not literally taking her virginity, he is symbolically taking her innocence in a violent and shocking manner comparable to rape. Another important use of symbol in Good Country People are Joy's artificial leg and the hollow fake Bible that Manly Pointer has. They both are symbolic of the spiritual state of each character. Both characters are spiritually hollow or empty, and Manly Pointer is not just spiritually bankrupt, but evil as well, shown by the sinful items he keeps in his fake Bible rather than the Word of God. Although Joy Hulga is crippled by her spiritual emptiness, she shows promise for change after the climax of the story when she is shocked in the act of redemption in the story when Manly Pointer steals her leg. Pointer, however, shows no sign of redemption as he moves on to his next victim, along with the trophy he obtains in stealing Joy Hulga's innocence through taking her leg. Joy Hulga thumps her leg loudly to make others uncomfortable, just as her nihilistic beliefs make others uncomfortable. When her leg is stolen, symbolically, her faith in the belief in nothing becomes shaken, leaving her in need of help both spiritually and physically. Although it may not seem so, the ending is actually hopeful because Joy Hulga has the opportunity to grow up and recognize her nihilistic beliefs may not be as great as she once thought. Good Country People is filled with irony. The name of the story itself is ironic since none of the country people in this story seem very good at all. An example of dramatic irony is Joy Hulga's expectation that she will dupe Manly Pointer, when in fact she ends up being the one who is tricked. The theme of the story, the importance of true Christian values and humanity's need for Christ's redemption, is proven through dramatic irony too. Joy Hulga thinks she wants to be a nihilist, but finds out that nihilism, or the belief in nothing, and that life and death have no meaning, is not so attractive after all, as she finds when she sees the true satanic evil in Manly Pointer, when he makes her believe he really is the face of innocence, and then shockingly shows he is not innocent at all by stealing a crippled woman's leg. The author uses dramatic irony at the end of the story when Mrs. Hopewell and Mrs. Freeman see Pointer leaving in the distance and have a conversation about how simple he is, showing how they are unaware of his true evil and the reader is now aware that the reader is now aware of. In fact, every character in the story except for Manly Pointer is ironically unable to see her own flaws and shortcomings. These ironies all help the reader see what should be is not what is in this story. The epiphany, or moment of grace in the story, is also the climax. It occurs when Manly Pointer pulls out his fake Bible and tells the shocked Joy Hulga he has been believing in nothing his whole life. At this moment, Joy Hulga realizes she has been duped and is not as smart as she thought she was. She now has the hope of achieving Christ's grace and changing her ways.